Well, I decided to do a special little show because today is the day, after 9 months of jerking us off, that the dispensaries open in Ohio. And when I just got word of what they're charging, $40 for 2 grams of weed. Why would you do that when you can buy a nice big ounce of genuine Ohio ditchweed from a local grower like I did? I ain't paying no $40 for 2 grams of fucking smoke that may or not be any good. But yeah, they've tripped over their dicks long enough, and now they got it open, and people are going to get hit over the head. And you know something? Michigan's only a 2-hour drive, and the prices are back basically to 70s there. But I thought this might be the time to share some thrilling weed stories with you guys. Because let's face it, I do smoke a shitload of weed and have smoked a lot of weed in my life. So, a couple of the funnier ones are, when we were moving out of our apartment and into our house, I had a quarter-pound of weed. And somehow, in transit, it disappeared. I think the movers somehow stole it. I don't know. I was going fucking crazy. And, of course, this was in the summer. So there was a sort of, everybody was, especially in Jersey, everybody goes down the shore. So the weed goes down the shore. So I couldn't find anybody who had it except for one guy. So I buy an ounce of weed and I bring it home and get out the album cover and dump it on the album cover, and all of a sudden the seeds get up and start walking away. They were little beetles. So my wife goes, "There's no way I'm fucking smoking that." And I said, "Well, that's all we got." And I'm like, she goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm not going to sit here and pick out these little tiny bugs. I'm going to kill them." So I soaked the weed in vodka and left it on the windowsill in the sun. And the overall effect was it turned the weed black. Now she's really giving me the stink eye, like, "You really gonna smoke that shit?" And I'm like, "There ain't nothing else here." So I smoked it, dead bugs and all, and I did get a buzz off it. So that's that story. It's gonna be weird, buying weed in these custom little bags with, what they are on it, as opposed to buying weed in a fucking sandwich bag, which is the way I always bought it. As a matter of fact, I think when I'm ready to buy weed, I may just walk into the thing and say, "Hey, look, just pick out a couple buds and throw it in here for old lang syne," because I'm used to dealing with a sandwich bag. So, another story was that I used to sit out on my back deck with my black lab shepherd Mix Morgan and smoke and basically toss the roach into the weeds. And my dog is the only dog I know that could actually see me rolling weed and get excited because she wanted to go out and hang out on the deck. So one day I'm walking around the backyard and I see this very familiar plant sprouting up from where I had thrown a roach. So I'm like, something? I'm going to leave this fucker alone. So I left it alone, and it was growing and growing and growing. So we were going through a separation, and I was basically living in the basement. And honestly, I've lived in a lot of basements. I could probably put out a magazine called Basement Living. Maybe that'll be my next project, I don't know. But anyway, I come home and there's a message on my answering machine from my wife saying, "You can see that fucking plant from the highway going by the house. It's that high." So I run out and quickly cut it down and bring it in and hang it up to dry and dry it out. And you know what happened? I probably smoked like 4 joints of that shit in the first night I dried it out, and I got a slight buzz. I think this was a male plant. But anyway, just the fact that I was standing next to an 8-foot pot plant that I grew myself was pretty cool, considering I got a brown thumb when it comes to any of this shit around here. Any more good weed stories? Probably a lot. Actually, you want good weed stories? I think I have a whole section gone with the weed in Whole Bag of Crazy Part 2, that one last toke. If you haven't picked this up, www.42ndstreetpete.net. That's the website. The book's there, available to order. So, I don't know, I got another weed. I got a lot of weed stories, actually. I had an angle, the whole thing was, I never really wanted to deal weed, but if I could get free weed, why not? So I basically found 3 guys that really had no good connections, but they're basically good for an ounce a month. So you'd buy a quarter pound of weed, and they basically pay for your weed. Well, I had a couple guys that were really fucking heavy smokers, and they were going through 2, maybe 3 ounces a month. So I would accumulate weed. So I remember one time, nobody had it. It was one of those dry spells. So I had made a connection to buy a pound of weed. So I buy the pound of weed for the right price, and I'm ready to make a killing, except that when I got mine, it seems like everybody and their brother got theirs. So my wife goes, "What are you going to do with that pound of weed now that nobody wants it?" I said, "Well, look at it this way. We don't have to buy weed for God knows how long. So basically, I don't know how long it took us to do it, but we smoked that fucking pound of weed." So, hey, just be careful of where you buy the shit from. I mean, the dispensaries are cool and all that shit, but I've been hearing stories about pre-rolls that had yeast and mold in it and shit like that. So, again, most of us have our own little connections here and there that we've had for way over 9 months that it took for this to get going. But like I said, it's typical Ohio, and the shit's going to be high, and I'm not going to buy it until the price goes down. They said a year from now there's going to be a dispensary right down the block, and they're probably going to charge top dollar too. So you know something? Hey, it's legal. I can sit on my front step and smoke the shit. Nobody can say shit to me. Not that I haven't been doing that all along. So that's our little salute to weed show today. A salute to the opening of dispensaries in wonderful Ohio, United States. So stay safe, fire one up, and we'll catch you on the flip side.